Today, we're going to talk about an important aspect of influence, and that is deep listening. I have a question for you. When you are about to meet with someone, interact, or communicate with somebody, are you seeking certainty or clarity? And in order to illustrate these concepts, I'm going to tell you a story, what happened over the weekend. I was at a baby shower and sitting on the couch, admiring the decorations, the balloons, the flowers. And then my old client who happened to be there sat on the couch next to me. And because we know each other very well, she starts talking to me about her husband and says, "Melinda, you know, my husband has ADHD. I'm not mad at him for having it. He cannot help but have it. Yet I am so frustrated and tired because he's not doing anything about it. He's not reading up on it. He's not learning about it to help himself. And so I am doing so much. I send him YouTube videos, or I'll give him an article or a book, and yet he just doesn't do anything. And so it's quite frustrating for me, and I just don't know what to do." So I turned around and asked her, I said, "What do you think he thinks about this? Like, when you look at him, is he happy in his life?" And she just looked back at me with this really blank stare. "I've never asked. I don't know what he thinks about it. I don't know if he's happy." That's a good question. That's a great point. And so I want to ask you, are you seeking certainty or clarity? In that interaction, she was seeking certainty in clarifying, in understanding her own assumptions or forging her own assumptions. So let me explain a little bit more the difference between certainty and clarity. Certainty is when we validate our own assumptions. Well, certainty is like we want to know that we are right, or we want to know what's about to happen is what we assume that's about to happen. So we're constantly seeking certainty because our brain loves it. It helps us feel safe. It helps us feel like we know. And so for her, she was so certain, my client was so certain that she had all the solutions, she had all the answers. So she was trying to clarify her own assumptions. And so this is happening all the time. And it's not just her. We as people, as humans, have biases, and we're constantly seeking certainty to clarify our own biases. You might see somebody walking down the street and they're dressed really nicely, and you might want to assume or infer that this person has a nice job, they're responsible. Or you're about to go into a meeting and this is a high person that's authority of you, and you may have had a bad interaction with this person of authority. And so in your mind, your brain is going to prepare you and assume that this might happen again because it just wants to feel certain and it wants to know and be prepared. If it's an unknown, it just wants to be prepared. And so our brain is doing that. But what happens when we're constantly doing that is that we start to bring in our own assumptions into the reality, what we think is a reality, and it might not be the other person's reality. And it might not be what the other person, where that person is at. And so there's a disconnect between that person's reality and my reality. So we want to move more into clarity and seeking clarity in our own in the other person's world. It has nothing to do with us now. So we are moving into the other person's world and asking genuine questions, seeking clarity about where the other person's at. In my case with my client, she could have asked genuine questions about where her husband is at today. And I'm saying today because people change, I change, and so you change. And so we always want to seek clarity of where the person is at today. What is motivating them today? What are they feeling today? Do they feel that they even have a problem to be solved? And so asking genuine questions. If you want to influence your team member, you want to ask genuine questions of what might be holding them back, what they might be resisting. They're playing a story in their head of why they're resisting or why they don't want to do what they do. And so it's your job to see and understand that story and draw it out from them. And if you've done it correctly, they will tell you that means that you are connected to them. And that is your whole goal, is to listen deeply without judging. And if they don't feel judged, if they don't feel evaluated, then they're going to tell you their story. And when you hear that story out, then you can potentially seek inconsistencies with what they're saying, or bring in your specific solution that is right for them in this moment. And that is the key. So listening deeply without judgment, forging that connection, that trust, and leveraging your own influence in that way. People don't want to be told what to do. You want to motivate them because you want them to want to do it. And so my question to you is, are you seeking certainty and validating your own assumptions, validating that you have all the solutions and you're right? Or are you seeking clarity and understanding of the other person's worlds? I have an activity for you, a fun activity you can do right after this podcast. I want you to start to be aware of your own mindset when it comes to these interactions. And are you seeking certainty and validating your assumptions, or clarity? There is a storytelling approach called character creation and cosplay. So in character creation, you get all these traits, and then you can create a story based on that trait. You can create their behavior, you can create the motivation of that character. That sounds like clarifying our own assumptions, right? That sounds like certainty. And so are you doing that? Are you getting the traits of this person and looking at that person's trait and creating your own story? Or are you moving into cosplay? And cosplay is a method where you go into the realm of this environment. You don't know what is about to happen. You don't know the character. So I want you to go, even if you've known this person, or even if you had interactions with this person, constantly seek clarity and move into the realm of cosplay, which is really just seeking to understand the person today, as if you've never met them before. What is happening today? What are their feelings today? What are their problems today? They might not know what their problem is. And you, by asking genuine questions, can help them clarify this problem. And asking, what is the impact of the problem? Oh, it's impacting your relationships. It's impacting your health. They might say that. Then, only then, you might offer for them to figure out their own solution. So what do you think might help? What do you think are the best next steps for you? Then the person feels more motivated to help themselves versus coming in with our own assumptions of what we might think that they need. So moving into understanding, first seeking to understand the person, deep listening without judgment, just accepting the realm, the environment, the character as is, and then helping him or her to clarify their situation and possibly their own solutions. And so this is a very different way of listening and of influencing. And when you do this, when you're able to listen at this level, you are increasing your trust and building that trust and that connection, forging meaningful relationships. And then and only then will your influence skyrocket, because you're there for them. You're helping them see their own problem, clarifying their own solutions based on what they want to do. And when you can do that, you're building their relationship. You're then therefore making a bigger impact in that person's life, and therefore impacting more people, perhaps your team, impacting the organization, and you are seen even more so as that powerful, effective leader that you are. I hope that you take these tips for deep listening, forging meaningful connection and building trust, and making a bigger influence in the world. And so until next time, I'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Thanks for joining the conversation today. Are you curious on how you measure up with your ability to speak in flow? Come grab my free self-assessment at https://speakinflow.com/assessment. And I'll see you on the other side.